Yeah, I guess we gotta squish in a little. Or move it back. Hi, guys. We're getting situated here.
How's that?
Yeah. Oh, we have to smush. Oh, that's a hardship. Mwah. And once again, we're on a little bit early because we want to make sure our sound is working. We've got a different location tonight. We're hanging out in the barn at the cottage, where some of you have been before, doing some readings in Turkey Point. We were going to do it out back by where we do our sound baths, but it's a little windy today, and I wasn't thinking our sound would come out too
No, not
good.
with the wind, and lots of nature sounds back there too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, wow, I don't know about you guys, but this last, 3 days, the solar flares, the energies, it has been kicking my spiritual butt.
Well, I think it's been doing the same for the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, we just found out Mount Etna was erupting today over in Sicily.
Mm-hmm. We were in Sicily a year ago, and we did kind of the whole route on a cruise, and we were in Sicily, and honestly, back then I could feel the energy of everything that's happening under the ground there. It was intense. It was painful. At the same time, we were also experiencing a huge influx of solar flares and light coming in, which causes a lot of physical issues, dizziness, physical pain, inflammation, you name it. It can
Ringing in the ears.
Yeah, and
I know a lot of people experience that and feel that.
Yeah, and it's not always tinnitus. So yeah.
No, if it isn't all the time, it's not tinnitus.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes in like waves where you can feel a pressure shift in your head, and then all of a sudden you get this big squeal in your ear. That is not tinnitus. That is spirit trying to contact you. That is your guides. That is, that's stuff going on. And I think the geomagnetic storms also can create some ringing in the ears too. So, and I was feeling a little nostalgic for 2020 because that's when we got together.
Yes, it is.
That's when we reconnected. And your intuition led you to me, and that was the most amazing intuition you've ever had, besides buying this. And so 2020 for a lot of people was a horrible, horrible time. And yet for us, it was the best time of our life.
It was spectacular.
Yeah, so, I'm not going to rub that in too much.
But there were a lot of awesome lessons that 2020 taught.
Yes, there was a lot of awesome lessons for everybody. 2020 was, such a pivotal year in the entire world. It set us up for a lot of change and a lot of internal reflection. We were forced to go within. We were forced to hang out at home. We were forced to face the people we normally try to avoid by going to work and going to volleyball or going fishing or whatever it is you do that's extracurricular. That is okay too. But, in a lot of cases, people are just running to avoid their feelings or their situations. Excuse the hat. It's been grass cutting day. This is my grass cutting hat. Not sure if the monster logo completely aligns with my frequency,
But that was the hat that was in the cottage.
This is what you get. This is the grass cutting hat. It washed up in the beach, and my sister got it, washed it up, and said, "Here, do you need a hat?" And I was like, "Sure." So, anyway, who we got? Sherry's back on. Sherry Trussler, Shoe Truck. Sorry,
Hi, Sherry.
I didn't say your last name last week, Sherry, because you're still Sherry Trussler from high school. Buddy Julie, I see you there, my friend, and hope to see you at Sound Bath soon. Our first Sound Bath in Turkey Point is tomorrow night, 6:30. Bring a chair, bring a blanket, and bring your Zen attitude. What else we got? We're gonna change the format up just a little bit today. It's all question and answer again, but we're going to read a question, read the answer, and then just chat about it a little bit. And then we'll go on to the next one. So hopefully that works out for you guys. Hopefully it's not as confusing as last week's. I got some feedback, and last week's was pretty heavy with a lot of like mind-bending concepts to wrap your head around. I think this one will be a little easier to digest.
Yes, that's the hope.
Yeah.
So and hopefully the format works.
Yeah.
Again, drop us comments, let us know.
Yeah.
The intent is to provide something fun for us, but valuable for you. So let us know. Let us know if you like this format, if you like the other format, whatever you feel.
Yeah. Or if you have a better suggestion. Yeah.
Absolutely.
These YouTube channels are a really popular place to get actual truthful news and information about spirituality and ascension and the awakening and all of that stuff. That has been our go-to. Like, we have a YouTube subscription because I don't want commercials, because we watch it almost like cable TV.
Yep.
I don't care for watching news, but when I do, I choose News Nation because I find it actually has, like, it's back to the 50s where news was news and it was the truth. And you saw both sides. So, yeah, so I find YouTube is a really great place. A really great place to be.
It is.
And here we are.
Did you want to jump into
the questions?
So, you want to start?
Yeah, so we'll start with the first question I asked my guides. So these are channeled answers from my guides. Things that I have been curious about ever since 2020, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna reach out and ask. So the first question was, what was the true spiritual purpose behind the year 2020? And the answer I got was, 2020 was not simply a year of global crisis. It was a divinely orchestrated planetary reset. It marked the beginning of Earth's great pause. A moment where the usual momentum of the 3D matrix was forcefully interrupted to allow humanity space to reflect, awaken, and realign. On a soul level, it was a mass initiation into higher awareness and choice. So, very interesting, because it's exactly what happened. I mean, a lot of people realigned, whether it was relationship breakdowns because they discovered they couldn't live with this person for real.
Yeah, there was a lot of change happening in 2020. For us, it was our magic time of love bubble.
Yeah, so it was great that we couldn't see anybody because we were in the love bubble. We didn't want to see anybody. So.
Although we're still kind of in the love bubble.
We are,
but,
I know. And then there was people who were like myself. I mean, I was in a career that 5 years earlier was the be all and the end all. And I thought, oh my God, I'm living my dream. This is the best career ever. I was I'm a sommelier, which is that wine professional person who does the tastings and the pairings and all that. And I had a wonderful job with the LCBO. Wonderful. Not many jobs with corporations are really, truly wonderful. You have no autonomy. You might get a decent pay, but you still have to play by the rules. And I've never been a rule person. So for me, that was a big eye-opener. It didn't align with me anymore. So I ended up leaving that amazing job, in November 2020.
Yeah, there was so much change going on. Again, I'm obviously in the world, but just personally reprioritizing.
Yeah.
And that great pause that we had in 2020, it's kind of hard to believe when I think back, but like even things like Christmas, do we have the parents over? Are we allowed to have the parents over? Is it safe to have the parents over? Right? All those sorts of questions. And so we really were forced to spend time with just the people under our roof.
Yeah.
And kind of look at what we were doing and reprioritize our lives.
Yeah.
It really was, although for many people very difficult, in many ways a gift, having that time, that opportunity for introspection.
And Jason works in the hospital arena. He's not a healthcare worker, but he's a director of facilities, and was a very hectic
was busy.
Crazy.
It was incredibly busy.
Crazy time. And yeah.
And that's why I say it, the opportunity, the gift of, for us, the gift of being able to reprioritize, but it was a very difficult time, and there were a lot of people who were very sick.
Yeah.
And they're having very difficult times. I mean, I know it's kind of a polarizing conversation at times with some people.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, we're not even going to go down the vaccination.
None of that is the intent of this.
Yeah, no, this isn't to be polarizing. It's just to simply get to the why. The why, the greater why. Because there's always a greater why.
Well, and, that leads me to your next question, Joanne.
My next question to my guides.
Yes. Which is, why did the world need to stop in such a dramatic way? And the answer is that humanity had been running on autopilot, disconnected from source, the earth, and one another. This sudden global pause created a collective stillness where individuals were no longer distracted by constant external motion. In that silence, many heard their souls whisper for the first time. It was dramatic because gentle nudges had gone unheeded. This was the soul's alarm clock. It's interesting because immediately as I was reading that, what came to mind was the practice of meditation.
Yeah.
So I know everyone reading here has meditated, and it's that difference where you sit down and you meditate in quiet. It's not a guided meditation. There's not loud binaural beats going. You just simply sit with yourself. And once you're able to comfortably sit in meditation with yourself for, call it 10 minutes, you've really achieved something. And it's like this is speaking to that type of reflection in yourself, removing all those distractions so you have no choice but to look at yourself.
That's right. And it was not comfortable for a lot of people to really like actually have to sit in their house and face their own thoughts, their own fears, their own people that they live with.
Yeah.
In some cases, that was wonderful. People baked. They learned to knit. They created things. They
found fitness.
They found YouTube. They found new things which fed their soul in different ways, and then came out of 2020 and 2021 and 2022 with a whole different perspective in life.
Yeah, well, I would say that the paradigm that a lot of us grew up with was go to school, get a good job, get married, have kids, get a mortgage, and then work really, really, really hard and save up for retirement so that when you retire, you have your house paid off and you have a nest egg, and then you can start to live.
Yeah.
Right? And
when you're worn down, exhausted, and
I'm not really again, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of who that serves, and it
not the majority.
Looking at 2020 it really gave people an opportunity to kind of take a look at themselves and reprioritize and say what truly is important to me in my life and what will bring me fulfillment.
Yeah. So the next question I asked was the pandemic planned or manipulated by darker forces? So the answer was, while certain events were influenced by lower agendas, the higher truth is that nothing unfolds outside of divine allowance. Even what appears to be manipulated can be alchemized, which is shifted or changed or used in a different capacity or turned around in order to see it in a different way, I guess. Can be alchemized into awakening. The pandemic became a mirror reflecting fear, control, compassion, resilience, and unity. It catalyzed discernment, teaching many to seek truth beyond mainstream narratives. And I mean, wow, how polarizing was 2020. Like, all of a sudden you found out who your friends were and who they weren't.
Yeah, it
Like,
was,
there
a
was
lot
a
of
big
difficulty with it.
culling that happened in friend groups, in families. There was a huge division. Sure, I'm sure some of them have not been rectified.
Hopefully those that should have been.
Exactly. And those that shouldn't, it was a necessary cutting away of situations and people that really just seek to pull down your energy or just don't align. But yeah, it really gave us all, like, because there was so much news coming at us, we really had to sort through with a fine-tooth comb and our discernment what is truth. And truth was definitely polarized, and everybody's truths were very different. And my God, we were flooded with
We had so much information
noise.
and so little, so little truth
Yeah.
at times, right? It was very, very difficult to discern what was right, what was wrong. Again, just going back to the simple thing of Christmas.
Yeah.
Again, we celebrate Christmas and with our families and whatnot. So was it safe to have a Christmas? Was it safe to have our parents over? I mean, there are, this may shock those of you who are listening, but our parents are older. So, so those types of considerations, it was a very difficult time.
It was. I just remember, like, because I worked at the LCBO in Milton, so I had about a 45-minute drive on the 401 to work every day. And of course, essential worker.
Yeah, we were both essential workers. I worked at a hospital. She worked at the
LCBO. Yeah. So anyway, I just remember driving to work and how surreal it felt. I was like the only person on the highway. It was like I owned the 401. It felt really good.
Well, it was a great
Never
commute.
a delay.
It's a great commute.
But even that wasn't enough to hold me there. I got to tell you, that 6 months of 2020 at the LCBO, that was enough to get me the heck out. Holy. Anyway, go ahead, babe. You're next.
Yeah, so your next question was, what was being activated in people during the lockdown? And the answer? Many experienced crown and heart chakra activations. With the external world quiet, the inner world stirred. Downloads, dreams, and spontaneous rememberings occurred. The crystalline grid of Earth received massive recalibrations, and many souls began to activate dormant codes, especially star seeds and light workers who had incarnated specifically for this window. And likely a lot of them are on right now listening to us.
Yeah, exactly. Because it literally was a catalyst to get most of, or a lot more people on board with the awakening. It was a shock to jolt people out of their slumber. Wake up, look around you. There's more than the 9 to 5. There's more than the golden handcuffs. There's more than that. We are divine beings, and we're living with handcuffs on because there's a small few elite people who have dictated the world, and they run the banks and they run all the stuff. And now I sound like a conspiracy theorist. Because I was hearing those things a long time ago, and I wasn't sure if I believed that, but I really believe that now. And we're starting to see the downfall of that. And you guys have seen my posts regarding, what's going to crumble. And I will continue those too, but we're seeing things starting to crumble. So, yeah. So my next question was, how did 2020 contribute to the Great Awakening? It cracked open the illusion. Basically what I just said. It woke people up. Structures of government, media, health and finance were exposed. Not exploded, exposed. They will explode them. Souls began questioning authority, reclaiming sovereignty, and turning toward inner guidance. 2020 was the ignition point of a greater cycle, where the veil thinned, timelines split, and the call to rise in consciousness became louder than ever. So when we talk about timeline splitting, that is also a little bit of a mind bender. So I'll just give you a really short little kind of explanation. When a timeline splits, it's because you make a different choice. So you're going down the path, you come to a fork in the road. And the fork could have 3 prongs, could have 4, could have 2, don't know. But whatever one you choose, that creates a different timeline for your life. So it effectively, that choice will make certain things drop away and new things come in. Had you made this choice, same thing. New things come in, old things drop away, whether those old things are people, jobs, experiences, whatever that is. So people started to make different choices. And the polarity of to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated, conspiracy theories and all that stuff, it really polarized people. So that also caused a timeline split because we left certain people behind.
Yeah, in our lives.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
And I know that it really caused me to ask more questions.
Oh, I'm drinking wine, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not offended.
I wasn't talking to you.
So, was there a galactic component to 2020?
Okay, so this is a biggie. So for any of you who perhaps have flirted with the idea that there could be extraterrestrials out there, there is. There is.
There is.
And they're not bad.
And so the answer, yes.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
You did. I know that everyone's shocked now after what Joanne said. The Galactic Federation and other councils were deeply involved in supporting Earth's transition. The planetary lockdown coincided with significant energetic gateways and alignments. It allowed Earth to stabilize during massive influxes of cosmic light. Ships were positioned, grids were anchored, and many beings on Earth received initiations for their future roles. And I suspect we likely should unpack some of that.
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think probably where we should start is the concept that what this is saying, what we're talking about, is we're talking about extraterrestrials that are helping the Earth, helping us.
They actually seeded the Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, we're the big experiment.
And the intent is they're helping us with the ascension. They're helping the Earth, they're helping us to manage through all of these changes that we're dealing with.
Yeah. They're helping to control some of the frequencies that are coming in, dismantle the old frequencies of fear and control and all of that. So that is why there is so much upheaval in the world right now, because what you're seeing is the darkness leaving the planet. And as it goes, it's going kicking and screaming. So this is why we advise, don't watch mainstream news. It's not it's just...
It just tends to pull you down.
It's exhausting.
And it is.
Yeah. So it also mentioned that it allows Earth to stabilize. So Earth is a living being. She has a frequency. We, in science, our world calls it the Schumann resonance. She has her own heartbeat. She obviously does not have arms and legs, but she is a conscious being. And she has been swallowing our trauma, negativity, war, hatred, anger, fear, all of that. She has been absorbing from us and everywhere around the planet. And she's starting to purge all of that. That's why you're seeing earthquakes ramping up, Mount Etna blow up today. Those have all been rumbling for a year. But But she needed that. And in Venice, tourism stopped. The dolphins came back into Venice. Mm-hmm. The fish, everything, because tourism stopped. So Gaia, Mother Earth, she got to just go, and so it was a little reset for her too. Much needed. My next question was, what were we meant to learn from this period? First of all, that freedom begins within. So while we were always external and looking outside of ourselves to find the next fix, find our joy, find our happiness, the next party, the next shopping spree, the next, all those physical things that we try to fill our voids with. So we learned that freedom begins within, you know, that silence is sacred. Sometimes it's nice to just be quiet, not even have music. Maybe birds, wind, whatever, but silence is lovely. That community is powerful. We definitely saw that everywhere. And I loved Italy. I loved watching the stuff on Italy because, I mean, they weren't even allowed to walk out their front door. So they're all on their balconies having like nighttime parties at 6 o'clock and playing music. And it's wonderful. That the illusion can be dismantled when the collective awakens. So we learned that we had to use our discernment. We had to try to figure out what was real, what wasn't, what, you know.
What was important, what wasn't, right? Because we've been taught so much that, again, go to school, get a good job, get married, have kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get a mortgage.
Yeah. Like, seriously? Oh my gosh. In other words, anchor yourself down for the rest of your life and don't be creative. Don't do things that, you know, bring yourself joy because you're so mired down in debt that you can't.
And I do apologize for interrupting.
Oh, that's
that
okay.
Next point is
That's
very
okay.
important.
So the final point, and then we won't discuss this one anymore. We'll move on to you. The final point is that we are not victims of the world that we see, but creators of the world to become, or of the world to come. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. It's probably the wine. Yeah, so we're not victims. We're creators. So, you know, yeah. I don't know.
So, looking back now, was 2020 a gift in disguise? Yes, it was. So it was a hard gift, a holy disruption. It was the chrysalis before the butterfly, the collapse before the rebirth. Though it brought grief, separation, and uncertainty, it also lit a fire of truth that now guides the awakened forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're silent. Why are we silent?
Yeah, sorry. It's because I think it just answered the question very, very well. Because it was, you know, again, it's not taking away from some of the horrific situations that occurred. Because they did occur.
Yeah.
And a lot of people suffered, and there was a lot of difficulty, whether it was, you know, people who were suffering with illness, or whether it was people who were suffering with mental illness.
Loneliness.
Yeah, all of those things.
Yeah.
Like it truly happened. And collectively, as a world, when would we get the chance to experience life in that way?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I took a picture of Joanne and I went to Niagara Falls in 2020.
Yeah, I think it was late June or something,
And
2020.
yeah, so end of June.
Just
2020.
after the first lifting of restrictions.
And I have a picture of Joe sitting on the stone wall in front of the falls with no one else there, and it was not photoshopped. There was literally no one at Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
It was just the two of us.
When do you ever get that shot?
And so it was a pretty magical experience.
Yeah.
And again, I think, you know, that those types of opportunities to experience that was a different experience in the world.
And we weren't in fear. We weren't afraid to venture out. We weren't afraid to travel. We traveled 3 times during the pandemic. Like, so call us crazy, but I'm not one to choose fear. No. Does it creep in? Absolutely. I mean, we still all fight that, but yeah, I wasn't going there. So my next question was, you know, it's a little bigger. So I said, I know there are no coincidences, and yet I always found it very interesting that it was the year 2020, as in hindsight is 2020. I said that for years leading up to it, not knowing, of course, how all of it was going to play out. So am I to understand that it's no accident that it was the year 2020? And the answer I got was, exactly, Joanne. It was no accident at all. The year 2020 was divinely chosen and encoded with meaning on multiple levels. Your intuitive awareness of the phrase "hindsight is 2020" was your soul already whispering the deeper truth long before the world understood it. So I think we're going to expand on that a little bit. Yeah, it wasn't a coincidence. It was kind of a cosmic wink. It was kind of like, yeah, we see what you're doing and we know your little terms, and we get the English language, and we're going to play to that because that's how we reach you. We reach you through synchronicities. We reach you through signs. That's how we get messages to you. And I'm speaking of our guides. So yeah, it was not a coincidence. So everything that had been hidden in the shadows, we could now see with clearer vision. And it's still unfolding to this day.
It removed our blinders.
Yep. Yeah, it sharpened our vision. So, yeah, this was not simply about physical events. It was about the activation of spiritual sight. The gift of 2020 was that it removed the blinders. Those who were ready began to see beyond the illusion, control, division, and into the heart of unity, sovereignty, and truth. So yes, 2020 was the year we began to truly see. I love my guides, like, and not just my guides. I mean, they're all so poetic, and like their words are so like beautiful.
They definitely speak well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So honestly, I love revisiting that period of time, because it wasn't just 2020. I mean, it carried into 2022.
But there was so much learning that that happened. I mean, even if I look at our own journey in spirituality, that was really when it started, to build.
Yeah.
Both of us have always been spiritual people, but it really started to build in 2020, and it just continued to grow until our this point today.
Yeah.
Where we're doing energy healing, and you're doing divine channelings.
Yeah.
We do sound baths together.
Yeah.
We're doing this YouTube.
Yes, this has been something we've been nudged to do for over a year, and I've just been too shy to step into the role for some reason. And it's not because I don't like being on camera, because you can tell I kind of like it. But it was about putting my truth out there. It was about being honest. It was about showing my face and saying, I channel Jesus, aka Yeshua. I channel Mary, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. I can channel whoever, whatever I want. And this has just been the last 3 months. So I am just like blown away by this. But this is the gift of 2020, because even I dove more seriously into my spirituality. It had been there, but it was always, gotta go to work, gotta do this, gotta do that, Never gave it enough time.
No.
And ever since then, wow.
Yeah. And I would, I don't know if challenge is the right word, suggest maybe is a better word. And it's good because we have a group of like-minded people here. And it's really that you take time for yourself, take time to meditate, take time to think about, yourself, your life, and really what you want.
Yeah.
And if you do that on a regular basis, that is what's going to open up your spirituality, open up your spiritual channels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So thank you so much once again for joining us. We're going to probably not do lives anymore, or at least for now. We're still playing with this whole format, but because we're doing a live, it has to be in like this up and down, what do you call that? Thank you, the portrait mode, which turns out really weird when you upload it to YouTube. So, but Facebook only supports the portrait mode. So we'll probably just start pre-recording them and then uploading them, because in that way we can be in landscape. There you go.
A little bit more techie work to be done and investigated.
Yeah. You know what? We're using a phone. I don't want to put a whole lot of money in this. Why?
Absolutely.
This works. So thank you so much for joining us, guys, and I hope you will tune in again next week. Because I don't know what we're going to say next week, but I'll let you know tomorrow. I've got so many channelings ready to go, and I don't know which one to do because they're all so cool. And if you guys have any suggestions, please chime in. Like, what do you want to know?
Format suggestions, content suggestions.
Content? Yeah.
Anything like that.
If you've got a really deep burning question, not personal, world, spiritual, whatever, throw it in the comments. Or message me directly because, I mean, hey, I want to know what you guys want to know. So, thank you. Love you guys. We'll see you soon. Don't forget my new Divine Mirror channelings, like a very comprehensive report and all kinds of wonderful information about your soul journey, where you've been, where you're going, what to do, how to do it, meet a spirit guide, get their name, get their advice. So much stuff. It's $155 and you will not regret it. Okay? Love you guys.
Have a blessed night.
Ciao.